There was a time when BMW didn't need massive screens, aggressive grilles, or endless technology to make a car feel special. It just needed the right proportions. A long hood, a low roofline, rear-wheel drive, and that unmistakable BMW character. This is the BMW F10, the sixth generation of the legendary 5 Series. A car introduced over a decade ago, yet somehow, it still looks modern today. But what exactly made the F10 so special? And was this really one of the last great BMWs? BMW introduced the F10 in 2010 as the successor to the E60. And compared to the E60, the F10 was a completely different direction. The E60 was controversial. The F10 was elegant. BMW moved away from the sharp and unusual design of the previous generation and created something much more mature. The proportions were almost perfect. A long front end, a low roofline, short overhangs, and that classic BMW kidney grille sitting between the headlights. The F10 didn't need to scream for attention. It had presence without trying too hard, and that is one of the reasons why the design has aged so well. Even today, you can park an F10 next to much newer cars and it doesn't immediately look old. Depending on the specification, the F10 could look completely different. A standard 520D could look elegant and understated. Add the M Sport package, bigger wheels and the right color, and suddenly, the same car looked aggressive. The F10 was also designed around something BMW had always been known for: the driving experience. This wasn't supposed to be just a comfortable business sedan. It was supposed to be a car you actually wanted to drive. The steering, the chassis, the rear-wheel drive platform, the balance between comfort and performance. Everything was designed to make long-distance driving feel effortless while still giving the driver something to enjoy. And that's what made the F10 different. You could drive it through the city in complete comfort. You could take it on a long road trip. And then you could get onto the Autobahn, put your foot down, and suddenly remember that this is still a BMW. And then you open the door. Inside, the F10 feels like a completely different world compared with many cars from the same period. The dashboard is angled toward the driver. The materials feel solid, the seats can be extremely comfortable, and the famous iDrive controller sits right where your hand naturally wants it. Depending on the equipment, you could have leather seats, electric memory seats, a panoramic roof, navigation, head-up display, adaptive cruise control and premium sound systems. And something that is becoming more unusual in modern cars: physical controls. You don't have to search through a touchscreen for every function. You have buttons, you have knobs, you have the iDrive controller. Everything feels familiar after a few minutes. And then there is the driving position. You sit low, the steering wheel is in front of you. The hood stretches out in front, and you immediately understand what BMW wanted this car to feel like. Not just a luxury car, a driver's luxury car. But the F10 wasn't successful because of the design alone. One of its biggest strengths was the enormous range of engines. BMW offered 4-cylinder engines for people who wanted efficiency, 6-cylinder engines for people who wanted smoothness and performance, powerful diesel engines for long-distance drivers, and high-performance petrol engines for people who simply wanted more. In Europe, the diesel models became especially popular. The 520D was one of the most common choices. It wasn't the fastest F10, but it offered a good combination of fuel economy, performance and everyday usability. Then you move up to the 6-cylinder diesels. The 530D became one of the sweet spots in the range. More power, more torque, and that smooth 6-cylinder character that makes a BMW feel completely different. Then there was the 535D. Twin-turbo diesel power, serious torque and enough performance to make you forget that you're driving a large executive sedan. And that's one of the things the F10 did so well. It could be incredibly comfortable and economical, but it could also be seriously fast. And then, there was the M5. This is where BMW completely changed the rules. Instead of a normal 6-cylinder or diesel engine, BMW put a 4.4-liter twin-turbocharged V8 under the hood. And this wasn't just a fast 5 Series. This was an M car. With well over 500 horsepower depending on the version, the F10 M5 could accelerate like a sports car while still carrying 4 adults and their luggage. And that's what made the M5 so crazy. From the outside, it could still look like a business sedan. But underneath, it was something completely different. Press the accelerator and the V8 comes alive. the sound changes, the car squats down, and the speed builds incredibly quickly. This was a car that could cruise comfortably on the motorway, and then completely transform when you decided to use all of its performance. It was luxury, it was technology, it was comfort, and it was completely insane when you wanted it to be. That combination is exactly what made the F10 M5 so memorable. But let's be honest, the F10 isn't perfect, and this is something you need to understand if you're thinking about buying one today. These cars are getting older. Some are now more than 15 years old, and age doesn't care how good the car was when it left the factory. A neglected F10 can become very expensive. Diesel models can have issues with components such as the DPF, EGR system, turbocharger and injectors. Suspension components wear out, electronics can fail, automatic transmissions need proper maintenance, and on high-mileage examples, there can always be something waiting around the corner. That's why buying the cheapest F10 you can find isn't necessarily a good idea. The real value is in the maintenance history. A more expensive F10 with good service history can be a much better purchase than a cheap example that has been neglected. Because once you buy an old luxury car, you are also buying its maintenance history. And this brings us to the real question. Why does the F10 still have such a strong following? Because it represents a very interesting period in BMW history. The cars were modern enough to have serious technology, but they still had physical controls. They were luxurious, but still focused on driving. They could be efficient, but they could also be brutally fast. And most importantly, the design didn't try too hard. There is something about the F10 that just feels right. The proportions, the driving position, the long hood, the interior, the sound of a 6-cylinder engine, the feeling of cruising down the Autobahn late at night. It feels like a proper BMW. And maybe that's why people still look twice when they see a clean F10 today. Because a well-kept F10 doesn't look like an old car. It looks like a BMW. So, was the BMW F10 the last great BMW? Maybe, maybe not, but it definitely represents something that is becoming harder to find. A BMW that tried to balance everything: luxury, comfort, performance, technology, and driving pleasure. It wasn't perfect, it had problems, it could be expensive to maintain. But when everything works, and you're sitting behind the wheel of a clean F10, you understand why people still love these cars. Because sometimes the cars people remember aren't the newest ones. They're the ones that made you feel something. In the F10, it was one of those cars. A car from an era when BMW was still trying to make the driver the center of the experience. And maybe that's why, years later, we're still talking about it. This is the BMW F10, the 5 Series that might just have arrived at the perfect time. And perhaps, one of the last great BMWs. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more cars, stories, and legends like the F10, make sure to subscribe to Franco's Garage. More automotive stories are coming. Until next time, drive safe.